A public defender is an attorney employed by the community and responsible for giving legal aid without cost to any person who seeks it and is financially unable to employ private counsel. It is his duty to defend those accused of crime until the issue is decided in a court of law. The first public defender's office in the United States was opened in January 1913. Over the years, other offices were opened, and today that handful has grown to a network of lawyers cooperating to protect the rights of our clients. Now, from the files of the public defender, we bring you the story we call Badge of Honor. Tonight, I'm going to tell you of a case, the final chapter of which was written only this morning, when Traffic Sergeant Dan Conway was laid to rest, meeting his death far and beyond the line of duty. Fellow officers and friends were gathered at the grave to pay this brave young officer a final and deserving tribute. There was an honor guard from the Legion Police Post, Doris Conway bearing up bravely in the true tradition of a police officer's wife, Dan's good friend, Detective Lieutenant Walsh, and even Captain of Police Gunderson himself. Well, no longer did Gunderson need to have any qualms about Dan.
To Sergeant Daniel Conway, his badge was more than just a shining piece of metal. It was a badge of honor. He cherished it and wore it well. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness.
The path of righteousness. Dan had found it. And I had been right about him all along. My faith in the boy hadn't been misplaced. The end of World War II had found Private First Class Dan Conway convalescing in a Normandy base hospital. And as he lay there, recovering from the tortures and undernourishment of a Nazi prison camp, he was thinking ahead, what he'd do when he got back home. And he knew he had a sympathetic confidant in the person of Miss Norton, a kindly and understanding Red Cross nurse.
How's our policeman today?
Doc says a month more should get me out of here.
Well, that should make you happy. Have you written your wife the good news?
Well, I started a letter, but began to feel a little bit groggy.
Well, let me finish it for you. Just tell me what to say.
Well, first I want to thank Doris for those books she sent me to help me pass my civil service exam.
And after we thank Mrs. Conway for the books, anything more?
Yeah. Tell her to be a sweetheart and go down to the police department and pick up an application for me so I can fill it out first thing I get home.
First thing, Dan?
Well, almost. After I untangle myself in that great big hug and a kiss. Oh, I've been promising myself this for a long time.
Me too.
Say, honey,
Yes, dear?
where's that application blank?
Now, Dan.
Well, I don't want to lose any time.
You've got plenty of time. I just found out last week that there won't be another examination until June 1st.
6 months? I'll be the first cop with a long gray beard.
It'll tickle, but I'll still love you. Oh, Dan, Mr. Johnson phoned, wanted to know when you'd be out. You can have your old route back.
Okay, but just until June the 1st.
Say, is this your regular route?
Yes, sir.
I just moved into apartment 4. How about dropping off a couple of quarts every morning?
Well, I'll be glad to, sir. Your name?
Lieutenant Walsh.
Army?
Police.
Oh. Say, that's my racket. I mean, it's going to be. In June, I'm taking exams. Are they tough?
They're not easy.
I guess they have to be. Otherwise, any guy could be a cop. I mean a policeman.
You look like you might make it.
Thanks. But, I could use a few pointers, Lieutenant.
Anytime, son, if I can help.
You sure can.
How about your weight? Seems to me you could use a few more pounds.
Guess I could. But where I was boarding, the Nazis didn't exactly feed you meat and potatoes every day.
You better work on that, or else when you go for your examinations, you won't get any further than the scales.
Dan took the advice to heart. If he had to eat his way into the force, Doris was just the girl who could help him make the grade. And Lieutenant Walsh, who had taken a sincere liking to Dan, was making it his personal job to see that Dan was properly prepared for the civil service examination. It was a tough one, and Dan, sweating it out, nervous and tense, wasn't sure he could pass. When the good news came, it was cause for a celebration dinner.
When I got that postcard notifying me I'd passed, I started to breathe all over again. 80%. That's not too bad, huh?
Don't you think Lieutenant Walsh deserves a little credit?
Forget it. This is Dan's night to howl. When you come back to Earth, Dan, you're going to find out that being a police officer means a lot more than just carrying a billy club. A lot of responsibility goes with the job.
Maybe you ought to stick to your milk route, dear.
Not me. Tomorrow morning, I'm giving the firm my notice.
It's time enough for that, Dan. You're not a policeman yet.
But I'm over the biggest hurdle. Rest should be a breeze.
Well, there's still the oral exam. Get a line on your character and temperament. A psychiatric test.
That's to find out if I'm all there.
Sometimes I wonder.
Hey, one more crack like that from you, Liddy, I'll have to lock you up.
Dan, you got some rugged weeks ahead of you. Granted, you get by the exam. You still got 90 days of the toughest grind you've ever been through before you even start your probationary period.
Oh, you haven't any cranberries, Lieutenant.
Oh, thank you.
Lieutenant Walsh was right, as Dan found out. There were track workouts until Dan wondered how much longer he could stand on his feet. Hours of grueling exercises in conditioning. Day after day at the rifle range to become expert in the use of firearms. And at last, a final dress parade in which Dan marched with a sense of real accomplishment. An important day to him. He had earned the right to wear the coveted uniform.
You've worked hard for that badge, Conway. Now wear it with honor.
Yes, sir.
As division commander, I'll be keeping tab on you. And I'm a pretty tough officer. I've handled enough rookies to know all the answers.
So watch yourself if you want me to turn in a good report.
Yes, sir.
You're being assigned to traffic, and your future on the force depends entirely on yourself. As you know, probation is 6 months. In that time, you'll rise or fall on your record. Just don't try to be too much of an eager beaver, like one of my rookies who gave out 35 tickets in 1 day. Badge-happy rookies don't last long.
I understand, sir.
On the other hand, there's no room for good Joes on the force either. There's a happy medium between overzealousness and gold-breaking.
And I hope you have common sense enough to recognize it. Good luck.